Before you check your phone, before the world pulls you into its chaos, I want you to understand this. The first moments of your day carry the power to shape your entire life. Today is not ordinary. It holds breakthroughs, divine encounters, and favor waiting to be released. What you do in the next few minutes will determine the victories or delays you face. Listen closely, speak with authority, and position yourself in alignment with heaven. Because this morning prayer is the key to unlocking a day full of supernatural possibilities. Don't scroll. Don't rush. Let every word transform your destiny before the world even wakes up. Good morning, beloved. As you rise today, I want you to understand that the moment you open your eyes, you are at the threshold of divine opportunity. The first hours of your day are not ordinary. They are sacred. They are a window through which heaven releases its strategies, its guidance, and its breakthrough for your life. And how you begin this morning determines the nature of your entire day. Before you check your phone, before the noise of the world draws your attention, I want you to pause. This is your moment to align yourself with the purposes of God. The spiritual atmosphere of this morning is rich with potential, but it is a harvest that can only be accessed through prayer. Prayer is not a ritual, it is preparation. It is the secret place where the inner man is strengthened to carry the burden and the glory of God. As you pray today, speak with authority. Your words carry weight in the spiritual realm. When you declare God's promises over your life, over your family, over your work, over every assignment, you are creating a reality. Do not pray passively. Do not whisper half-heartedly. Pray with expectation, with the confidence that the God who watches over your life is responding. This morning, focus your heart. Remove distractions. Meditate on the word. Speak with clarity and intention. Ask for divine guidance to make decisions that honor God. Ask for supernatural protection over your mind, your body, and your environment. Declare that no weapon formed against you today shall prosper. Declare that the favor of God will go before you, that opportunities will locate you, and that doors that have been shut shall open without resistance. Beloved, do not underestimate the momentum that comes from consistency. Every morning that you pray builds a spiritual capital that compounds over time. Today, as you pray, know that you are not just speaking into a day. You are speaking into a season, into a destiny. Every declaration you make with faith adds weight to the unseen forces that govern your life. So rise up today and take your place in the spiritual realm. Pray like your life depends on it, because it does. Speak like a king, walk like a conqueror, and believe like a child. For this March 4, the heavens are ready to release a new level of manifestation into your life. Your day, your week, your season will reflect the power of this morning prayer. The power of morning alignment is one of the most profound truths in the life of a believer. The moment you wake up, you are presented with a spiritual opportunity, a chance to position yourself correctly in the unseen realm before the pressures and distractions of the day begin to pull you off course. Many people start their day driven by circumstance, the alarm, the messages, the to-do lists. But a life that is truly prosperous, spiritually effective, and divinely led begins in alignment with God. This alignment is not just about speaking words. It is about positioning your heart, your thoughts, and your spirit in harmony with His purposes. When you pray in the morning, you are essentially saying, Lord, I will not allow the events of this day to dictate the outcome of my life. I will dictate it through your guidance. Morning alignment also sets the tone for the unseen. The spiritual realm responds to order and intentionality. When you begin your day in prayer, you are drawing heaven closer to your circumstances. Every decision you make, every conversation you have, and every step you take becomes filtered through divine wisdom. The day that begins with spiritual focus is a day that experiences supernatural favor. The alignment of your spirit with God in those quiet early hours acts as a shield against confusion, distraction, and error. Furthermore, morning alignment establishes authority. When you begin your day with prayer, you are declaring that you are the steward of your day, and heaven is your partner. You are not drifting, you are leading. You are inviting divine intervention into mundane activities, transforming ordinary moments into moments of revelation. Even before the world has fully woken, your spirit is already positioned in power. In essence, the power of morning alignment is about taking intentional control of your spiritual atmosphere. It ensures that you do not operate reactively, but proactively under the guidance of the Spirit. It is the secret of those who walk in consistent breakthroughs. The reason why some people experience favor, clarity, and success before their peers even begin. Morning alignment is not just a practice, it is a spiritual strategy, a preparation that turns the first few hours into a launch pad for divine possibilities that will shape your day, your week, and your life. Spiritual preparedness over physical routine is a principle that many believers overlook. Most people approach their mornings with a checklist mentality. Brush your teeth, eat, shower, dress, and then move into the day's activities. While these are necessary, they are insufficient for those who desire to live with supernatural influence. The truth is, your spirit is the engine that drives your life. And unless it is prepared, no amount of physical activity will guarantee the results you desire. Spiritual preparedness begins with understanding that the day is not merely a series of tasks to be completed, but a battlefield, a field of divine encounter where your choices, your declarations, and your posture before God determine outcomes that extend far beyond what you can see. When you pray in the morning, you are essentially equipping your spirit. You are strengthening the inner man, fortifying your heart with faith, and putting on the full armor of God. It is in these quiet hours that you develop spiritual awareness, the ability to discern God's will, recognize opportunities, and navigate challenges with clarity. Spiritual preparedness transforms routine into purpose. A day begun in prayer is not a day that drifts under the weight of circumstance. It is a day that flows under the guidance of divine instruction. This principle also emphasizes that your physical movements are only effective when they are supported by spiritual alignment. You can rush, you can plan, you can strategize, but if your spirit is weak, distracted, or unprepared, the day will often yield confusion, missed opportunities, and unnecessary delays. Preparing spiritually equips you to respond correctly to every situation, to walk in wisdom, and to enforce the authority God has granted you. Spiritual preparedness cultivates sensitivity to divine timing and revelation. It ensures that your mind, emotions, and actions are synchronized with heaven's agenda. Even mundane decisions become spiritually significant when your inner man is alert and fortified. This preparation is not an option. It is a necessity for anyone who desires to walk in consistent breakthroughs and favor. The day that begins with spiritual preparedness carries a weight of purpose that transcends routine, enabling the believer to operate in power, insight, and divine strategy, making every hour count in alignment with God's eternal plan. The authority of your voice is one of the most overlooked yet powerful tools in the life of a believer. Many treat prayer as mere conversation or routine words, but the truth is, when you speak with faith, your voice carries authority in the spiritual realm. Every word you release in prayer is a declaration that shapes the unseen, influences circumstances, and positions you to receive divine intervention. God has given his children the ability to partner with him through speech, and this partnership is not passive. When you understand that your voice has authority, you begin to pray with intention, knowing that what you declare can shift situations, release blessings, and dismantle opposition. Your voice is not limited to expressing need. It is a creative force. The scriptures remind us that God spoke the universe into existence, and his words carried unstoppable authority. In the same way, when you speak life, favor, protection, and breakthrough over your day, you are participating in the creative process of heaven. It is not the volume or eloquence of your speech that matters, but the alignment of your spirit with the heart of God. A voice that prays with faith is a weapon against chaos, a conduit for divine strategy, and a means of establishing God's will on earth as it is in heaven. Understanding the authority of your voice also requires awareness of what you are releasing. Every complaint, every fearful thought, every word of doubt carries weight in the spiritual realm, and if unchecked, these can invite stagnation, delay, and attack. Conversely, words of faith, expectation, and declaration act as keys to unlock doors that have been closed, to summon divine favor, and to enforce victory over challenges. The voice of a believer is meant to rule over circumstances, not be ruled by them. When you grasp the authority of your voice, your morning prayers take on a new dimension. You no longer pray passively. You pray strategically. You speak life into your schedule, your relationships, your assignments, and your challenges. You command the favor and protection of God over your day. This is why your voice must be deliberate, intentional, and rooted in faith. It is more than sound, it is power. And the day that begins under the authority of a spoken prayer is a day already positioned for divine accomplishment, supernatural guidance, and unstoppable progress. Focus and intentionality are critical keys that determine the effectiveness of your morning prayer and, consequently, the outcome of your day. Many believers pray mechanically, rushing through words while their minds wander, unaware that the quality of their prayer shapes the spiritual trajectory of the day. Focus is the act of centering your heart and mind entirely on God, cutting off distractions from the world and giving undivided attention to the voice of the Spirit. Without focus, prayer becomes noise. Words spoken without power, declarations made without weight, and time spent without spiritual return. But when you pray with focused intent, you align yourself with heaven's agenda, making every word and every declaration a spiritual instrument that carries authority and direction. Intentionality, on the other hand, is about purpose. It is the conscious decision to approach prayer, not as a ritual, but as a strategy. Every request, every declaration, every moment spent in communion with God must have a deliberate objective. When you pray intentionally, you bring clarity to your spirit and you invite divine guidance into your decisions, actions, and interactions throughout the day. This transforms prayer from mere habit into a powerful mechanism for navigating challenges, seizing opportunities, and enforcing God's will in your circumstances. Focus and intentionality also cultivate spiritual sensitivity. When your mind is clear and your heart deliberate, you begin to perceive subtle promptings of the Spirit, receive insights into situations before they escalate, and discern God's guidance in areas others overlook. It is the difference between wandering through your day in reaction to events and walking through your day in alignment with divine strategy. Moreover, focused, intentional prayer strengthens your faith. It trains your spirit to expect results, to believe in outcomes that surpass human understanding, and to stand firm in the assurance that God is actively working on your behalf. The combination of focus and purpose transforms ordinary prayer into a channel of supernatural power, turning the early hours of your morning into a launch pad for breakthrough, protection, favor, and divine order in every area of your life. Faith-driven expectation is the heartbeat of effective morning prayer. Many believers approach prayer with uncertainty, speaking words, without truly believing that God will respond. But prayer without expectation is powerless. It becomes routine rather than transformative. Faith-driven expectation is the deliberate act of believing that God is not only listening, but actively moving on your behalf. It is the posture of the heart that anticipates answers, breakthroughs, and divine encounters even before they manifest in the natural. When you pray with this kind of faith, you are operating in alignment with the laws of heaven, where belief precedes reality and expectation triggers manifestation. This principle teaches that your faith is the engine that activates the power of prayer. You do not pray hoping God will act. You pray believing He has already moved. Expectation amplifies the authority of your declarations and gives weight to your words. When you pray over your day with unwavering belief, you are not merely speaking into empty space. You are engaging heaven itself, inviting angels to enforce your victory and positioning yourself to recognize and seize the opportunities that God sends. Faith-driven expectation ensures that your prayer is proactive rather than reactive, that it shapes outcomes rather than waits for circumstances to dictate them. Moreover, expectation transforms your perspective on challenges. A day begun in prayer without expectation may still be filled with trials, but a day begun in faith-driven expectation carries a supernatural shield. You see obstacles as opportunities for God's glory to manifest and setbacks as setups for His intervention. You walk with confidence, knowing that every step has been ordered, every decision has divine insight, and every interaction carries the potential for supernatural fruitfulness. Faith-driven expectation also strengthens consistency in prayer. When you believe that your morning prayers are effective and that God is faithful to respond, you are more likely to maintain this discipline, creating momentum over time that compounds into long-term spiritual breakthroughs. In essence, expectation transforms the mundane act of praying into a powerful, dynamic engagement with God, a daily declaration of trust, authority, and alignment with His divine plan. Consistency and momentum are the hidden forces that turn ordinary morning prayers into extraordinary life transformation. Many believers pray sporadically, expecting miraculous results from occasional effort. But the truth is that the spiritual realm operates with patterns, rhythms, and seasons. The power of morning prayer is compounded when it becomes consistent, when you rise day after day to align your spirit with God. Speak declarations of faith and position yourself for divine encounters. Each morning prayer builds upon the last, creating a spiritual momentum that carries you forward, even on days when circumstances seem difficult or the natural environment is uncooperative. Consistency establishes authority in your life. The more you pray with intention every morning, the more your spirit becomes strengthened, sensitive, and attuned to divine guidance. You begin to notice patterns, recognize opportunities before they manifest, and respond to challenges with supernatural insight. Momentum arises naturally from consistency. Just as a rolling stone gathers speed and energy, each day that you pray compounds spiritual capital. Faith is strengthened, expectation grows, and the atmosphere around you becomes increasingly favorable. Over time, this momentum positions you to experience breakthroughs that were previously beyond reach, as each morning sets the stage for long-term victory, favor, and progress. Moreover, consistency in prayer fosters discipline in the rest of life. It trains your mind, emotions, and spirit to prioritize spiritual alignment over convenience or distraction. Even when external pressures arise, Your daily practice of prayer ensures that your inner man remains fortified, that your decisions are guided by divine wisdom, and that your actions flow in harmony with God's purpose. Momentum is the invisible force that carries you through trials, strengthens your faith in waiting periods, and ensures that victories are not isolated incidents, but part of a sustained pattern of success. Ultimately, consistency and momentum in morning prayer create a foundation for a life marked by supernatural favor, divine strategy, and spiritual authority. It transforms ordinary days into extraordinary seasons. The person who commits to this daily practice will discover that what once seemed difficult or impossible becomes natural and victorious. The power of today's morning prayer is amplified not just in the moment, but in how it contributes to the unstoppable momentum of your spiritual life. As we conclude, I want you to understand that the power of your day is determined by the choices you make in the first hours. Morning prayer is not a ritual, it is a strategy. It aligns your spirit with heaven, prepares your inner man, empowers your voice, focuses your mind, strengthens your faith, and builds unstoppable momentum. Every word you speak, every declaration you make, and every moment you spend in the secret place compounds into spiritual authority that governs your day. When you rise and pray with intentionality, you are not merely asking God to intervene. You are partnering with Him to shape the outcome of your life. You are activating favor, breakthrough, protection, and divine guidance that will flow into every area of your day. This is how ordinary mornings are transformed into platforms for supernatural encounters and divine accomplishments. Remember, consistency amplifies your power. The discipline to pray daily, the expectation to see results, and the faith to believe for the impossible are what separate those who live in spiritual mediocrity from those who operate in unshakable authority. Your morning prayer is your launch pad, your alignment with God, and your declaration that you will not allow the circumstances of life to define your destiny. So, rise with purpose, speak with authority, pray with faith, focus with clarity, expect results, and let the momentum of daily devotion carry you into a life marked by favor, breakthrough, and divine strategy. Today is not just another day. It is a new opportunity for the heavens to manifest in your life. The seeds you plant in prayer this morning will blossom into victory, and the alignment you establish now will set the tone for every blessing, breakthrough, and assignment God has prepared for you. Step into this day with boldness, for it is yours to conquer under the guidance of divine power.